Hey everybody, welcome back to Dixie Belle's YouTube channel. My name is Lauren. I am the furniture flipping teacher. I am also a full-time kindergarten teacher who flips furniture on the side in order to earn a little extra money to put straight toward my student loan debt. Today I am going to be flipping this mid-century end table, and it has a lot of work that needs to be repaired on the tops, but I am going to use my trusty Dixie Mud to fill in those gaps and repair the tops of both the levels of this table. And then we are just actually going to be refinishing it with the same color in black, which is the Anchor silk paint today. So that is going to be an all-in-one, one-step process. I've got to sand this down, so let's get going. Okay, so the first step that I've got to do before I sand it is to do some cleaning, and I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's White Lightning Cleaner for this piece. So I'm just going to dump a little bit into my water here. You need to wear gloves with this because it is a chemical TSP based cleaner. So you want to be able to protect your hands from that. And I'm going to mix it up. It's going to dissolve. And then we're gonna get it cleaned. I am going to go switch out this dirty water for some clean water so that I can wipe off all of the chemicals, and then I'm going to get to sanding. So for sanding, I am just going to make sure that I try and get all of the glossy paint off of the top. And then I'm going to go through with my Dixie Mud, and I'm actually going to be filling in all of these little lines that you see. That type of design on an end table is just not in style anymore. So I'm going to fill those in, make it look flat, and then I'm going to fill in these little blemishes as well where the veneer is peeling up, and then we're going to make that flat with the Dixie Mud. Alright, it looks like I ended up with some green underneath the black, so that was kind of interesting. But again, I wasn't trying to take all the black paint off. I was just trying to get the glossiness off so that I could then apply the silk paint. And what I've decided is that for the bottom, I'm just going to leave that the stained wood color, and then for the top, the entire top, I'm going to do it black. I was hoping to leave the side panels that were wooden, the wood color, but just because of some peeling veneer and things like that, I won't be able to do that, but I'll just paint it black and everything will look great. Now I am going to put on the Dixie Belle Mud. Alright, so I'm going to be applying the Dixie Mud in the color brown. There's also white, but I choose to do brown today. And this is basically like a wood filler. So I'm going to fill all of the parts where the veneer is missing, as well as the parts, the designs in the table. I use the plastic spatula from Dixie Belle to apply this, and it's just going to be a scraping motion. You kind of want to shove it in there and then scrape it off. and that is it for the Dixie Mud. So I am going to cap that up, and then we are gonna let this dry for a while. It's gonna turn into a more dirt color. This is truly like mud, like it spreads nicely, and then it'll turn into a dirt color, a little bit lighter when it's dry, and then we'll have to sand it in order to get it all flat, and then we'll be able to paint. Alrighty, the Dixie Mud is all dry, so I'm gonna grab my sander out and sand it down and see what we've got going underneath. Hopefully it covered up and filled all of those old lines. Alrighty. It all got really smoothed out, so I'm happy with the Dixie Mud. It did its job correctly, and now I need to wipe everything off because it got a little bit dusty, and then I will be able to paint. Okay, I am going to be using Anchor in Dixie Belle's new line Silk Paint. And it is an all-in-one mineral paint that is self-leveling, and it's amazing. You don't need to prime, you don't need to do a top coat, so I'm excited to try this color in the silk paint alone. I have used this color mixed with another color once, but I'm excited to try it on its own and see how the black does. And because this was black before, I definitely don't need to worry about priming it. Sometimes you may need to prime before using the silk paint if it's a darker color, but overall the paint is, you don't have to use the primer. So I'm gonna get started, and I'm using the Scarlet brush as well. As I said before, the Dixie Belle Silk line is very self-leveling. You just want to make sure that you're not working it too much, which means just go back and forth once or twice. Do long strokes instead of the short choppy strokes. So that will help it to continue its job to self-level. Alright, first coat is all finished up, so we're gonna let that dry. I don't think it'll need a second coat, but there might be a few touch-up areas, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so coat number 1 is all dry. I'm here now taking my brush out of the baggie because it kept it all nice and wet still. It didn't dry my paint. I didn't have to wash it in between. I'm gonna do the second coat. Alright, that is all for the second coat. So now I'm going to go wash my brush while this dries, and then I'm going to focus down below on the wood. Alright, the second coat of the Anchor Silk Paint is dry, so I'm going to take my finishing pad from Dixie Belle and finish the paint. It just smooths it out really nicely. It's really good to use after you paint anything with Dixie Belle, whether it's chalk paint or the silk mineral paint. Then my next step is to tackle the base of the table. So with the base of the table, it's pure wood. So I am going to take a sanding block and sand it down very lightly. I laid a towel down since I'm gonna have to put this on its side to work on it. So it's just a 120 grit sanding block, and I'm just gonna do it lightly. All right, now that I've got all of the legs sanded down, I'm gonna do the drawer real quick, and then I'm gonna take my microfiber cloth and wipe off all of the dust because that sanding made a lot of dust. All right, all the dust is off, so now I am going to hopefully recoup this wood and brighten it up and just kind of give it some new life. And what I'm going to be using is a Dixie Belle product called Big Mama's Butter, and I'm going to be using the Orange Grove one. So like I said, I am taking the Big Mama's Butter in the Orange Grove, and I am going to apply this to the wood, and it is supposed to enhance the wood grain and rejuvenate it and give it a little bit of protection as well. I've never used this before, but it is a wax, so I am taking my wax brush, and this is called the Best Dang brush. Basically, you just want to get some on your brush, like that. You're going to go over the wood, and I already removed all the dust, so we're good there. I am going to apply this onto the wood, and it will rejuvenate the wood, make it shine. Obviously this will dry a bit, but I'm excited to see the finished product. There's a real plus, it smells super good. All right, now that I am done applying the wax with my brush, I'm gonna go back with a lint-free cloth and I'm gonna buff it out, and I'm gonna get away any of the excess wax that is still on there. So not only am I gonna go over the drawer, and I'm gonna go over wherever I put the wax, because again, there could be some excess and I don't want it to be clumped. And also we're just buffing it and rubbing it in the wood just a little bit more. Right here is a really good example of what you don't want, so that's why we need to buff it out and just spread that around, get rid of it. And then also in the corner here, there is a little bit of place where I missed, so I want to push it in there, get all that covered as well. Okay, and then I'm gonna put the drawer in. This also helps things slide better, and this drawer didn't have any problems sliding, but now it really won't have any problems sliding in. All right, and it's done. It looks really good. The wax really did rejuvenate the wood, and it brought it back to life. It was really just old, and there were spots, and you could tell that it was just needing to be a little bit rejuvenated, and that's exactly what Big Mama's Butter did. All right, and now that this is all finished up using all of these awesome Dixie Belle products, the silk paint, the Big Mama's Butter, which was actually a fun little test for me. I got to revitalize that wood, and it's already starting to dry, and just it's still really shiny, so I love that look. But anyway, I am going to be taking some photos, staging it, and then posting this on Facebook Marketplace to sell for a profit that I'm gonna put toward my student loan debt. This I'm probably gonna list at about $80 to $90. The mid-century vibe furniture is going really fast and people are loving it. So since it has these mid-century modern, mid-century legs, I am thinking that someone is gonna hop right on this. And the matte black on the top, the only thing that I wish was that this wood here would have been a little bit more salvageable, but unfortunately we did have to do wood filler with Dixie Mud and all of that. So I am glad that at least we could salvage it enough to make this piece be able to look good again and to get a new life and to get a new home. When I'm taking the photos, I be sure to not have it staged because I want them to know that I'm being transparent. And then I also stage it so that those people who are looking at it and potential buyers can imagine it in their home. They might put a plant on it or some books because it's an end table. So I'll stage it as if it might be in someone's house. Alright, it is all photographed, so I'm gonna go post it on Facebook Marketplace. Alrighty, we are getting this thing out of here. I ended up listing it yesterday at $85, and generally I wait about 5 days to lower the price, but only one person has reached out and they said that they could come and pick it up right now. So I went to $70, and I still think that that's a really good price, especially since I only got it for $3. That is gonna be a good profit toward my student loan debt, but I just really wanna thank Dixie Belle for having me on their channel, allowing me to kind of showcase their new silk mineral paint. It's actually available for everyone now on their website, so be sure to head over there. There are tons of links down below in the description for the Anchor silk paint, the Big Mama's Butter, and everything that you can imagine. Head over to their website and you will not be disappointed. Also, get subscribed down below to Dixie Belle's channel. But also, if you enjoyed the process of this video, how I explain things, be sure to head over to my channel, Furniture Flipping Teacher, and we can join along the long-term journey over there, and you can see more flips and tricks. I'll see you on the flip side.